Okay, so in this example here, it appears that we have a challenging problem at first glance, but once you go through the problem, it really isn't that bad. You just have to know how to set it up. Now, there's a lot of ways you can do this problem, and so why don't we go ahead and read what it's asking, and then we'll talk about how we are actually going to solve this problem. It says, find the equation of the quadratic in standard form that passes through the points 1, 1, 2, 2, and 3, 7. So in order to do this problem, you first have to know what a quadratic in standard form looks like. And that is going to be y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, there's our quadratic in standard form. Now from here, there's all different routes you could go to solve this problem. The route I'm going to take is by doing a system of equations, and in particular, a 3x3 system of equations. Now, if you don't know how to solve a 3x3 system of equations, I actually have a video on that, so you should go ahead and check that out. I'll go ahead and link that in the description box below. That way you have access to that content. But assuming you know how to do a 3x3 system of equations, that's how we're going to do this problem. Now, how do we set up a 3x3 system of equations here, right? I'm not given any equations. How do I form those three equations? Well, they do give you these points here. And remember, points are going to be x, y. So for example, 1, 1, that's going to be x, y, right? 2, 2, x, y. And then 3, 7, x, y. So think about this logically, how you could form three equations. I have an x and y point, actually I have three of them, and I have this quadratic here in standard form. Well, if I start plugging in these points into x and y, I'll be able to solve for these variables a, b, and c, okay? I'm going to show you how that's going to work out. So for example, your first equation is going to look the following way. We're going to use this point right here. So wherever I see a y, I'm going to plug in a 1. And wherever I see an x, I'm going to plug in a 1. Okay? And so that's going to look the following way. Here's my y. I'm going to put 1 equals a. I don't know what a is. That's okay. Here's my x. It's going to be 1. So 1 squared plus b. Don't know what b is. I know x. That's 1. And then plus c. Okay? We're going to do this 2 more times. So there's the first one. The second one, we're going to use this point right here. Okay, so we're going to have here 2. That's my y, right? 2 is equal to a times 2. 2 is also my x, right? Squared plus b times 2 plus c. And then the third one, my y is 7. So 7 is equal to a. My x is 3. So 3 squared plus b times 3, and then plus c. So from here, I want to go ahead and clean this thing up. Doing the first one, I have to do 1 squared. That's going to be 1 times a. I get a. 1 times b, that's b. So the first one's going to be 1 equals a plus b plus c. All right, that's pretty straightforward. The second one, I'll have 2 equals, and then 2 squared will give you 4, so 4a. And then I have 2b plus 2b. And then plus c, okay? And then the third one, I'm going to have 7 is equal to 9a plus 3b, and then plus c. Okay, so here are the three equations that were formed by plugging it into standard form. And now I can solve it by doing a 3x3 system of equations. So again, I'm going to use these three equations right here to solve for a, b, and c. So why don't we go ahead and turn the page, that way we have a clean slate, and let's start the problem. Okay, so I just went ahead and rewrote the equations, and now we're going to solve it using a 3x3 system of equations. So remember, when you do a 3x3 system of equations, you're trying to bring this system down to a 2x2 system of equations, so then you can solve by doing a 2x2 method, and then eventually you will get a variable, and then you start going in reverse and plugging it back in. So we're going to talk about how we're going to do this here. Now, I'm going to use elimination here. And I'm going to eliminate c first, because look at my c variables. They're all the same. They're all positive, right? Positive c. So why don't we go ahead and label these equations? This will be equation 1, equation 2, and equation 3, okay? So right now, I'm going to do equation 1 and 2, and I'm going to eliminate the c. So I'm going to say 1 and 2, and we're going to use elimination here. And to do that, we're just going to do subtraction, all right? So I'm going to have 1 equal to a plus b plus c. And then my second equation is going to be 2 is equal to 4a plus 2b and then plus c. So what we need to do here, again, is going to be subtraction. So right underneath, we're going to do 1 minus 2. That will give me negative 1. So I get negative 1 is equal to a minus 4a. That's going to give you negative 3a. Okay, there's negative 3a. And then b minus 2b is going to give you negative b. And then c minus c, they eliminate, right? Good. So there's one part of our 2 by 2 system that we're bringing it down to. I now have to use two other equations to eliminate c, so that then I'll have two equations in terms of a and b, and I'll solve it just like I would a 2 by 2 system. All right. So let's use equation 2 and 3 here. Okay, 2 and 3. And we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. So I'm going to write equation 2. 2 is equal to 4a plus 2b plus c. And then equation 3, we get 7 is equal to 9a plus 3b and then plus c. Okay. All right, let's go for it. 2 minus 7, that's going to give me negative 5. Okay. 4a minus 9a, that's going to give me negative 5a. And then I get 2b minus 3b, I get negative b. And then c minus c, they eliminate. That's what we want. They cancel each other out. So now technically I have a 2 by 2 system. I'm going to use this equation here and this equation here, and then I'm going to solve it doing a 2 by 2 method, and then I'll have the answer for one of my variables. Okay. Now look here, a negative b and a negative b. If I use these two equations here and I do subtraction, they're going to cancel. So I'm going to solve for a here. All right, so let's start a new page. That way we can solve it by doing a 2 by 2 system of equations. Okay, so I just went ahead and wrote down those equations that we formed by eliminating c. So now we're going to solve it like we would a 2 by 2 system of equations. And this one's perfect for eliminating b. If I do it as a subtraction problem, these variables right here, my b variables, are going to eliminate and I can solve for a. Okay, so that's exactly what we're going to do. And it's already set up. I'm just going to go ahead and put a line right underneath and we're going to go for it. So be careful with your signs here. Okay, I'm doing negative 1 minus a negative 5. If you have to write it out, go for it. Again, you're doing negative 1 minus a negative 5. Remember, those two negatives will make a positive, so be careful there. It's actually going to give you positive 4 here. All right, so get positive 4 equal to negative 3a minus a negative 5a. Again, those two negatives make a positive, so it's really like negative 3a plus 5a, and that will give me positive 2a. So positive 2a. And then negative b minus a negative b, that will cancel out. That's what we want. Okay, so these are gone. So from here, I can solve for a. I just have to divide both sides by 2, and I have it. So a is going to be equal to 2. And so that's the hardest part. Now you're just going to go in reverse and plug in these variables, and you'll start getting the other variables. So I know that a is equal to 2. I'm now going to go back to one of these two equations right here. So these right here, I'm going to plug it in and solve for b. So I'm going to go ahead and just use that top equation, which is negative 1 equal to negative 3a. Now my a is 2, so I'm going to plug in a 2, and then minus b. Okay, and now I'll get b. So I'll get negative 1 equal to negative 6 minus b. I have to add 6 on both sides. Almost done. Negative 1 plus 6, that will give me positive 5. Equal to negative b, meaning b is going to be equal to negative 5. b is going to be equal to negative 5. Okay, so a is equal to 2, b is equal to negative 5. Now we just have to find c. To find c, you go back to the original equations and you plug in a and b, and then you'll get c. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and do that? So here we are at the very beginning. This is where we started the problem. And I'm on this page. That way I can see these equations right here because I'm going to have to solve for c, right? But why don't we go ahead and list out what a and b were? A was 2 and b was negative 5. So from here, all I have to do is pick one of these three equations, plug in a and b, and solve for c. Now pick the easier of the three. This one's super easy. I'm going to use this one right here. Okay, so I'm going to get 1 is equal to, well, my a is 2, my b is negative 5, so minus 5, and then plus c. So when I solve it, I get 1 is equal to 2 minus 5 is negative 3 plus c. I just have to add over that 3, meaning 1 plus 3, c is going to be 4. So c is equal to 4. Okay, so you're not done yet. You have one more step here. So I have a is equal to 2, b is equal to negative 5, and c is equal to 4. Okay, so putting it all together now, we have to get the equation. How do we do that? Well, we're going to use standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c. So why don't we go ahead and do this in a different color? This is going to be our final answer, and I'm going to try to fit it in below here. We're going to have y equals, right? What's my a? My a is 2, so 2x squared, okay? Plus bx, well, what's my b? Negative 5, so negative 5x, okay? And then plus c, what's my c? Well, it's plus 4. Done. So this right here is going to be the equation of the quadratic, okay, that is passing through those 3 points. Okay, so that's it. And we solved this problem by doing a 3x3 system of equations. There's lots of different ways in which you can do the problem. I mean, technically, if you had a graphing calculator, we could have solved this by using a matrix, and we could have got the answer, in like less than 30 seconds. But this is how you do it by hand. And again, this is using a 3x3 system of equations. So I hope that you found the video helpful. I hope that you gained something from it. If the video did in fact help you, if you could just go ahead and give it a thumbs up, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you get more math videos in the future, and I'll see you in the next one.